Hey John, the way the new division is collaborating with us on pre-sales is actually worsening our conversion rate, right? If the aim was to generally better understand something, such a question contains at least 3 mistakes. Have you spotted any one of them? If you think you have, leave a comment with yes. If you haven't, leave a comment with no. In this video, I'm going to share 10 practical tips to better ask questions when your purpose is to better understand. In a comment to a previous video, Nicoletta asked me, what about a follow-up video on business interviews for process mapping made easy? So here I am, Nicoletta. Although this is not focused specifically on process mapping, I believe it is perfectly suitable for that kind of task. Why am I specifying the purpose of better understanding? Because if you had a different one, such as, for example, winning an argument, my tips about the way you ask questions would be completely different. Whether you're analyzing someone's business model, observing an existing operational process, or listening to the account of a past event, you are in a context of better understanding. If you haven't already, by the end of this video, you will also be able to tell which mistakes can be associated with the initial question. And if you want to get access to more content in the future, make sure you subscribe right now. Before we start, a brief warning. The whole topic of asking questions is huge, involving disciplines ranging from linguistics to neuroscience to cognitive psychology. What we are covering here are a few safe-to-use practical tips. There's plenty of attention you can put to improve the effectiveness of your questions before, during, and after you actually ask them. Here are my tips. Tip number 1, have a framework in mind. Depending on the object of your inquiry, whether it's about business models, strategic decision-making, business process mapping, etc., having a framework in mind will be of great help. How? In at least 2 ways. First, by providing an ordered place to store information that usually comes into random order. 2, by making relationships between parts more easily evident. And there are a few other reasons quite important which we don't have the time to go through now. I won't go deeper now into the distinction between categorization and sense-making frameworks. Framework as a topic would deserve a separate discussion. I limit myself to a few examples. For example, Alexander Osterwalder's value proposition canvas can help you better understand a business value proposition, while Professor Dave Snowden's Knaven, hope I'm pronouncing it the right way, I'm not Welsh, is a sense-making framework to help you determine what approach you should apply based on the level of disorder and complexity in a certain decision scenario. Or in a talk about processes, for example, you should be able to quickly discern what refers to an actor, a task, a decision point, a tool, a sequence, information exchange, etc. I'll provide links to some useful frameworks in the credits and sources section below. Now, beware, frameworks are a means to achieve better understanding, not an end in themselves. Leave some space for information that doesn't fit your framework. Don't get framed by your framework. Allow some space for the possibility that you've chosen the wrong one. Tip number 2, plan for appropriate time. You've just finished your scheduled meeting time and the answers to your doubts are still there uncovered. What a shame. No shortcut here. Either you are able to reserve a sufficient time to clarify all doubts or you'll be left with them. If the person you need to interview is very rigid on her schedule, you can try the following 3 tactics. Anticipate your counterpart the possibility of a later follow-up. Secondly, find alternative sources of information. 3, narrow your scope. Reach an intermediate goal with that and use this to get credit for a second round. Tip number 3, culture matters. Depending on cultural factors, the quality of the answers you get can be heavily affected by the content of your questions and by the way you ask them. For example, making funny jokes when meeting a German director for the first time or asking the age of a female Colombian teammate may not be that smart. On the other side, doing the same two things could be less critical in Italy and China, respectively. The rules of thumb here are: country-based cultural categorization are at best rough stereotypes. And in case you are in doubt, abstain. Whenever the cultural context is likely to be different from your usual one, be careful and do your homework before you start. If you don't understand why I'm suggesting this, I promise you will one day or another, or else you'll become one of those culturally ineffective persons who keep on saying phrases like the Indians are, the French are, the Mexican are. Tip number 4, start with easy questions. Conversations are smoother when people are at ease. One good way to ensure this is to start with easy questions. Make the other person confident about her ability to answer before you move to more complex topics. In the end, this also contributes to building trust, a scarce resource and the most powerful facilitator of all. For example, if you are analyzing a process that you know in advance has some issues, start by asking how it works when everything goes well. After the baseline is set, go deeper into the critical points. Small talk can also be used with care. Depending on cultural factors, see the previous tip. Small talk could be perceived as a pleasant icebreaker or as a waste of time. If you don't know and you use it, it's generally safer to keep it short. Tip number 5, look for a story rather than judgment. Let the narrative flow without interruption, filter out judgments and opinions, and look for behaviors. Judgments and opinions usually carry purposes with them. Paying attention to them might be useful for understanding people's intentions, values, and individual criteria, rather for understanding facts. Tip number 6, never suggest the answer. People sometimes tend to tell you what you want to hear rather than their plain truth. This does not necessarily imply dishonesty. Sometimes it is just most people have a strong need to please other people. That's why you should never include an answer in the formulation of your question. Tip number 7, ask about them, not about you. Help people feel that they are talking about themselves rather than about something that is useful to you. Show genuine interest in their lives, problems, challenges. You may connect with them by comparing theirs with your personal experience, but never let your ego prevail over their need to tell you their story. Tip number 8, mind the bias. As human beings, our judgment is biased. And if you think that this applies to others, but not to you, this is in itself a proof of what I'm saying. Sorry for revealing this to you. One for all, and one of the most common among our biases, is the so-called confirmation bias. According to Wikipedia, it occurs when we search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs or hypotheses. It is a type of cognitive bias and a systematic error of inductive reasoning. Being aware of your biases is no guarantee that you will not suffer from them, but self-training yourself in paying attention to evidence that contradicts your established beliefs is an extremely useful practice. Tip number 9, listen until the end of the answer. Why do I generally hate having other people with me when asking questions? Because too many times my efforts of grasping the truth have been frustrated by other people intervening and interrupting at the wrong moment. Some people feel uncomfortable with silence. Some feel uncomfortable with keeping silent when someone else is talking. If you're one of these, start training to listen and answer until it's finished. If you're really committed to understand, let people complete their answer before talking. Treat silence as one of the most powerful tools in your hands. In particular, never ever try to complete someone else's answer. Chances are that the other person is thinking something even more important. Interrupting this flow of consciousness might compromise your only opportunity to know the truth. Even worse, your attempt to ease the completion might compromise the authenticity of the answer. Tip number 10. Take notes and review them soon after. Take notes during the interview whenever appropriate. Ask permission to do so. Some prefer taking notes with some kind of keyboard and screen. I prefer paper. I find it more flexible, faster, and less intimidating, but this might be due to my limited typing skills. Whatever the method for taking notes, the longer you wait before reviewing them, the larger is the amount of information that you're losing. So make sure to allow some time in your schedule to review your notes after the interview. Interviewing people is like language proficiency. The more you practice it, the better the outcome. The good news is that you can train in almost any place. Practice by asking questions to your friends, family members, taxi drivers, colleagues, waiters, train commuters, barbers. Start with simple questions like, how long have you been doing your job? Or what is your favorite Vietnamese restaurant? Then gradually move to more difficult ones. At a later stage, you'll be able to ask a taxi driver in Lisbon what he thinks about Uber, or a first-generation Algerian immigrant in Paris about Zinedine Zidane's behavior in the Football World Cup final match in 2006. Disclaimer, these are mere examples. You ask questions at your exclusive risk, and I take no responsibility for their consequences. Now, getting back to the initial question. Hey John, the way the new division is collaborating with us on pre-sales is actually worsening our conversion rate, right? Let's review the tips. 1. Have a framework in mind. 2. Plan for appropriate time. 3. Culture matters. 4. Start with easy questions. 5. Look for a story rather than judgment. 6. Never suggest the answer. 7. Ask about them, not about you. 8. Mind bias. 9. Listen until the end of the answer. 10. Take notes and review them soon after. Have you spotted at least 3 mistakes? If you have now, write the corresponding numbers in the comments below. When someone is answering your questions, it is safer to expect them to be less concerned about the accuracy and the completeness of their answer than about your judgment or about possible consequences. Being aware of this fact, together with some practical tips, can help you reach better results when you're trying to understand something through questions. Subscribing to my YouTube channel is just 1 or 2 clicks away if you haven't done it yet. By doing so, you'll make sure you won't miss the next episode. I've told you my tips. Now, tell me your favorite one for asking better questions. Leave it in the comments below. I will update my post on my website by adding the best ones to the list. And my website is lucaorlassino.com. You can find it in the references below.